Hey guys, welcome to my quadcopter mess of a desk. So I've had kind of a few projects on the go, and I'm going to tell you guys, firstly, what I'm not actually going to do. And what I mean by that is, so I've got this dismantled here. This is my 150 frame that I designed. This is the one with 1407 motors, but I'm actually preferring this 150 with 1306 motors. Purely because, yeah, you get a little bit less power, but it's a lot less stress on the batteries, so you get like 5 minutes of thrashing, and this is still pretty damn powerful. It's really great for proximity. You know, feels like a bigger quad. Loving it. So I'm going to keep this guy going. What I was going to do is I was going to move these 1407 motors to this frame here. Not with that 3D printed one, this one. So this is from the XBR, Black Bolt XBR. That's the 3D printed canopy from that. So basically the idea was I could have something just as light as this 150, but it would be more aerodynamic because it's got this nice canopy, and I could put 4-inch props. And from the thrust test that I did, you get 500 grams of thrust per motor on 40-45 Gemfan carbon props. So I think that's really where these 1407 3200 kV motors really shine. I think that would be a really ideal application for them, and I think this would be an absolute beast if I actually got the motivation to finish that. But what I'm going to do instead is I am going to take the gear out of this and actually put in an even bigger quad. So I've been kind of inspired, I guess, by a few YouTube channels, some forums. I want to make a top speed quad basically, just as fast as I can make it. So this is kind of some of the design at least. So these arms here, these were going to be used on my ZMR. So they are really exactly the same as the ZMR arms, but they're like 4mm thick, so nice and tough. What I'm going to do here is, this is a printout just for sorry, just for a template. So I'm going to stick that on a piece of carbon. I've got some 1mm carbon, so I'm going to make 2 copies of that for either side of the arms, so keep this all together. I'll have an FPV camera there, perhaps the electronics in here. So I've just spent a good portion of the day working on this quad, and as you can see, I've made a fair bit of progress. So you've got that normal kind of X-type frame, I guess, and this unusual bit at the back. So this is really just structural. For the front, we've got this 3D printed kind of nose, I guess you'd call it. There's obviously that glass window, which is made out of a Coke bottle, and that's going to go on the front, so the camera can see through. And then we've got, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut, this is just a template, I'm going to cut foam board, and that's going to be the side, so I get an aerodynamic shape, if you know what I mean. So that's going to be nice and slick in forward flight. Now, one potential downside is the weight, because just that kind of frame alone weighs 166. I mean, that's not terrible. There are quads, I mean, I'm guessing that Gorilla frame weighs probably the same amount, if you know the frame I'm talking about. And that might actually be okay anyway, because I know it'll take away a lot of agility, but I'm not sure how much it will actually affect forward flight. So the idea with this is, I've got these notches here so I can put a battery strap around there. But yeah, the battery will slide in there and strap there. I'm thinking putting the electronics up here. So this one here, this battery is a 1300 4-cell 65C. That would be good if weight is an issue and I need to make it a light quad, then that might be a good candidate. Otherwise, this, like if I can get away with a heavy battery, 2.2 amp hour 4 cell, that will, like, you know, long punches, I guess, better because of the high capacity and decent C rating. What is it, 60 to 120? I don't know if that's true. But also, I've got 2 of these batteries, and I was thinking I could dismantle one of them and basically make a 5 cell, because these are 2 4 cells, but I could turn that into a 5 cell, and that would fit in there fine. So that could work. So that is an option. Now, these flat arms are probably going to be my downfall, as RoboForcer on the FPV Lab forums mentioned. He's using the round carbon tubes for his speed quads. So I do have some of those round tubes on order just for my next frame, I guess. But I think I'm in too deep with this frame, so I will see how this goes. Now, you might be looking at this thinking, hang on, this looks massive. How can this actually be any good? How's this going to be quick? But I guess the idea is, when you look at it from this way, it's not massive. It's reasonable size. If, you know, for a quad that's going to be swinging 6-inch props, maybe 5-inch, I'm not sure, because I've got 50/50 props, which might be awesome. They're coming from Banggood, so we'll see how they go. But basically, I think, yeah, you know, you look at it from this way, and there's not much to it. It's just when you're looking from the side, and it's going to have that kind of aerodynamic aerofoil shape, which potentially will give it some lift. I don't know. That's kind of the idea. But yeah, we'll see how we go. So right now, I'm making the back canopy for this quad. So I'm using foam board, 5mm foam board. So yeah, I'm just gonna hot glue it together. I'm kind of using some of the same techniques as you find in flight test builds. For example, here it's like, this is just the paper overhang. So it kind of goes together like that. I don't know, they did that in one of the flight test builds. And you know, beveled edges, kind of tricks that I learnt doing those kind of builds. And here we go. This is the frame itself, at least, in its final form, I suppose. So I've hot glued together this canopy at the back. And yeah, that's the inside. So it doesn't have much in it at the moment, obviously just a battery. I've got a lot of stuff on order. I've got ESCs already, I think. I mean, I've got some little Bs. I've got a whole set of little Bs. I've got a set of SN20s. And I've got a set of these, which are SN or BL 40s. So they can take 6 cells. So they would be what I have to use if I was going for a 5-cell pack. But I know they're not as good, as in, like, they won't give as much thrust compared to other ESCs. And also they don't like high RPM or ERPM as much as other ESCs, for example. So I'm thinking maybe I'll buy some XM30s. But I'm not sure yet. So we'll see how we go with that. If anyone's got any opinions, put it in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think about what ESC I should be using. So for the motors for this quad, I've ordered some 2208 2000 kV motors from my RC Mart. So I guess I was browsing through and these caught my eye. They've got the integrated prop shaft, so they're pretty lightweight. But one thing I did notice with the specs was that for their thrust tests that they've done, at least, on the GemFan 5040 prop, at 16.8 volts, they got 896 grams of thrust, whereas if you go and look at, this one is the 2205 2350 kV motor, which is a more common kind of mini quad motor, I suppose. On that same prop and same voltage, they got 880 grams of thrust, which is actually less, even though it's a higher kV. So I guess that was kind of interesting. And I guess even though this is lower kV, it's just got the torque to spin that motor a little bit faster on that particular prop anyway. So yeah, so I've got those to play with. Now I've also got a heap of aeroplane props to try out. So I've got 50-50, I've got a 60-55, and I've got a 60-40. All those coming from Banggood. So I'm not really sure what's going to translate to the highest airspeed. Obviously pitch is pretty important, but you know, like, is a 5-inch going to do, or will I need a 6-inch to actually propel the craft? Yeah, so it's going to be a bit of experimentation there. So I guess that's about all I can really show at this point, just because I'm waiting on parts. So I guess keep an eye on my channel if you want to see the build finished, and thanks for watching.